Hey everybody, we're back for another fretboard method. In today's fretboard method, we're actually going to be focusing less on the fretboard and more on the whole guitar itself. I have been wanting to do a video showing you guys all of my guitars, my quiver, my guitar inventory. I'm going to play a little bit of each guitar. I have quite a few guitars, so get ready. It's going to be really fun. And I'll show you guys kind of what I'm using each of my guitars for and what ATW songs they have been featured on. So let's start with this. This is a 1979 Gretsch Beast. I'm sure some of you may have seen this guitar in my first rig rundown. Now this guitar I keep in open tuning, specifically open D tuning with all them witches. Right now it's actually an open E. So this is my slide guitar. If I have a song with all them witches or with anybody that I'm playing with where I'm just playing slide on that song, I'm gonna be in open tuning and I'm just gonna do slide. So this guitar sounds really good. Pretty cool. My dad actually bought me this guitar a long time ago. I think it was for my either 19th or 20th birthday. And my dad found this in a local guitar store called Grandpa's Music in St. Augustine, Florida. That guitar store doesn't exist anymore, but they had some really good stuff. I love it because, as you can see, there's no arch in the fretboard. It's completely flat, so when you lay a slide across it, it's super easy. It's even on all the strings. And I keep the action a little bit higher, primarily for slide. It's just easy. It almost plays itself. Anybody can play slide on this guitar. Songs that I've played this with all them witches on, Workhorse is probably the most popular. I also played this guitar on the first album on Until It Unwinds, all the slide parts on there. And then I'm 95% sure that I played all the slide guitar licks on Charles William with this guitar. Anyway, this guitar screams. It has really, really cheap Japanese humbuckers in it, and they have a very distinct sound. Next up is my Nags Honga. Many of y'all have seen this. It was on my most recent Premier Guitar rig rundown, and this is my riffer guitar. So this was used exclusively on Nothing Is the Ideal. It was I got this guitar right before we started writing that album, so and I found out that it's really riffy. All of the guitar solos on Nothing As the Ideal were this guitar. If you want to know what this guitar sounds like, just listen to that album. Even Everest was this guitar. Pretty cool. It cleans up great. It's an awesome sounding guitar. It has bare knuckle mules in it. I love these pickups. They're really cool. And it's just a all around great guitar. It looks metal and it sounds metal. That's why I love it. Next up is the hardest one to hold, but the coolest looking guitar that I have. It is a Banker Flying V. You guys have seen this. It has throwback pickups. I don't exactly know the model of the pickups, but they're very loud. They're awesome. It is honky, tons of mid-range, not a lot of lows, which, you know, that's a flying V. It's a good combination of old blues and modern rock kind of stuff. I always wanted a flying V because of the Lenny Kravitz music video for American Woman. I thought that the guitar he was playing in that video was hands down the coolest guitar I've ever seen, and it was a flying V. And I always wanted one with a mirror pickguard. It looks pretty funny, but super rock and roll. And I like to blind people in the front row with the light reflections. It's very entertaining to me. The first thing that I used it for was the solo on Silver to Rust. And I couldn't think of a better sounding guitar for that solo. This is awesome. It has become one of my main touring guitars. This guitar is one of my favorite guitars. It is a 52 reissue Fender Telecaster. It's beautiful. Roy Buchanan is probably in my top 3 favorite guitarists of all time. Maybe top 5. He plays one that looks just like this. That's why it had to be this color, had to have the black pickguard. And this guitar is my main El Castillo guitar. It's twangy, it's country, it's a telly. I love it. I modded this guitar myself. So this guitar came, the bridge, whatever this thing is called, the control center, it was actually flipped. So the pickup selector was here, and this was actually the volume, and this was the tone. It was all flipped around. But I wanted to be like the country guys and be able to do volume swells. So I reversed the wiring. So now this is tone, this is volume, and obviously this is the same. I did have to flip-flop these, otherwise this would have been the treble pickup, and this would have been the neck pickup. So check out these swells. What you can do with the volume knob right under, you can get real kind of pedal steel country sounds with it. I love it. Also, another reason why I like tellies, and Roy Buchanan did this a lot, is you can kind of get the same swell thing down here with the tone knob so close, and you can almost get like a wah-wah sound. Pretty classic. Now the neck pickup on here sounds really good too. Beautiful. This guitar is great. It has a real thick neck. And I did another mod to it. I took out the stock pickups, which they were okay. Super glassy, very, very scooped. I wanted to have a little bit more mids in the guitar and to have it louder overall. So I bought the Lindy Fralin Blues Specials and actually installed both neck and the bridge pickup. And the reason why I did that is because I worship Kenny Vaughn. You guys already know that. He plays for Marty Stewart, and he is like my favorite living guitar player. He's incredible. And I talked to him, it was when I was living in Nashville. I would see him every Monday night with his 3-piece band at this place called 12th South Tap Room. I don't know if they do that anymore, but those were the days. And I asked him what pickups he had, and he said he had the Lindy Fralin Blues Specials, so it was a no-brainer for me. This guitar is incredible. I love it. With All Them Witches, I use this on Am I Going Up? In my opinion, every guitar player should have at least one guitar with P90s. They are super rock and roll, they're super glassy, they clean up beautifully, and they bark when cranked. This was my second electric guitar ever. Anyway, this is a Godin. It is an LG. It's a Canadian-made guitar. It's the same company as Seagull and those Seagull acoustics. And this guitar is amazing. I love it. It needs quite a bit of cleaning. It's a little crackly. I haven't been paying enough attention to it. Now tell me that that is not rock and roll. This guitar looks so cool. I need to start playing this more. I need to bring it out on a tour and just play this guitar. I love it. It's mahogany, as you can see. And I think it's like the coolest burst. Anyway, I played this on easy on our first record. This is gonna sound really familiar. Beautiful, clean, glassy, and awesome. Now, this guitar made a reappearance. I don't think that I played it on any of our other albums until Nothing Is the Ideal. I needed a nice, clean, glassy guitar part for 41, and it was the perfect guitar for it. Much love for the Godin. All right, next up is another Nags. This was the second guitar that these guys gave me. It is a Nags Cheyenne. It's 335-ish. It's got this really, really badass gray, kind of like tiger stripes to it. It's really cool. This guitar does not get played enough. I need to like write a whole record with this guitar, something like jazzier. It's really cool, and it sounds really awesome. It has the same bare knuckle mules in it as the Nags, the black Honga that you guys already saw, but it sounds way different. It's super vintage sounding. I used this guitar a lot on the ATW record, specifically Half Tongue. This would be a great guitar with El Castillo, honestly. I love this guitar. It's great. I need a jazz band. I should do that. Old Faithful. This is my 2010 Gibson Les Paul Traditional. Many mods have been done to it. I mean, it was fine stock, but I knew that I was gonna be getting something to kind of mod. And this had the best neck. I probably played 10 Les Pauls when I was wanting to get one, and I love it. I always wanted kind of like a Dwayne-ish sunburst, and the back is completely red and the neck is super thick. I have big hands, so it just works. And this is number one. Sorry to all my other guitars, but this is number one. This guitar, for me and my playing, this is my guitar. I love playing every single guitar that I have. I play every guitar that I have almost equally. Maybe not with all them witches, but when I'm home, I am ripping through all of them. But this guitar, this is always home base for me. And I can't even begin to describe how much I love this guitar and how much it's become kind of an extension of my playing and an extension of myself. And the reason I love this guitar is because it's tight feeling and it's tight sounding. I used to have a DiMarzio Super Distortion in the treble pickup, and then in the neck pickup I had just a stock humbucker that it came with, like a stock Gibson 57. But it went through another round of mods. Matt Hughes from Banker actually modded this guitar yet again because I was having some tuning issues with it, and he put in all new Grover tuning pegs, a brand new bone nut, and intonated it, did all the good stuff that none of us have any idea about, that just makes the guitar feel great. And I put in, he put in hot Dwaynes, they're Aux 4 hot Dwaynes. I mean, why not? And he simplified all the wiring, like it's more clean on the insides. He put a new one of these in, and also I finally, after a billion years of playing guitar, I finally have a guitar that has a Tone Pros saddle in it, and it's great. It's like a locking saddle, and now you can't get the thing to go out of tune. I love it. It's very dark sounding, and it's muddy in all the best ways, but yet remains tight and somehow clear. I feel like I'm just contradicting myself. But anyway, this guitar is awesome. It's been on every album, almost every single song that ATW has ever recorded, and will most likely be that way in the future. All right, and the last electric that I'll show you guys before I move on to the two acoustics that I have is going to be, this is a brand new guitar, and it is a Banker, the guy who built the V and modded my Les Paul. He just made this for me. I won't go into too much detail because of the other fretboard method. I talk a little bit more about it. It's a great guitar. It's got it has throwback pickups in it, and it's 50s wiring, just like all my guitars, 50s wiring, because I like it to clean up when you turn down the volume knob. Damn. Yeah, there are 1,000 reasons why I wanted this guitar. Jerry Garcia, Robbie Krieger from The Doors, Tony Iommi, The list goes on. Angus Young, jeez. I've been listening to a lot of AC/DC. Do people appreciate him enough? He's so tasty. Amazing. This guitar is beautiful. I feel like it changes colors on a day-to-day basis. Sometimes it's more brown, which is what I asked for. Today it's like cherry red. The other day, I swear, it was like almost a purple, kind of maroon looking color. So it's kind of my chameleon. It sounds great. This is going to be a very big contender for the Les Paul. Anyway, I love this guitar. It sounds great. Anyway, All Them Witches was in my studio for about a week after Bonnaroo back in June, and we finished all of our Baker's Dozen stuff, and I used this exclusively. So hopefully you'll hear some stuff soon with this. It's great. I'm going to be bringing this to Europe. So if you're over in Europe, get ready to see this guy. It's gorgeous. Chameleon. All right, let's move on to some acoustics. Anyway, this is a Martin Dreadnought. This is a fairly new acoustic for me, and it is Hawaiian Koa, and it's gorgeous. I love stuff that has stripes on it. It's really cool. It sounds amazing. Let's see if we can hear this. This guitar is great. Parks used this a lot on some of the Baker's Dozen stuff that's going to be coming out soon. This is an Alvarez classical guitar. This was pretty much the guitar that I learned how to play guitar on. Only I was a much smaller person, so the thing was huge, but I always had kind of big hands, so it was never super hard to play. Flamenco. This guitar is the best story out of all my guitars, and I have promised myself that I will never sell any guitar that I have again. It does not matter where in life I am, how much I need the money, whatever. All of my guitars are almost like my children. It is the first guitar that I ever bought with my own money. And I literally, classic story, worked all summer mowing lawns. I was mowing my family's lawn and a neighbor's lawn, and paid for this guitar. It took 3 months. I think I was getting $15 to mow these like huge, like half-acre lawns. This was in the late 90s. So that's not a lot of money anyway. But so anyway, I think the guitar was $650 and worked my butt off to pay for it. And then I moved to Nashville, and I'm a broke musician, like many of us are, and had to pay rent. And I looked to this guitar and I was like, I'm not playing that guitar much anymore, whatever, I'm just gonna sell it. And sold it to a really nice guy, and he was a session player. And so I was like, well, at least it's gonna be going to a really good home. And sold it to him, and on the drive home, I was just kind of thinking, what the hell did I just do? Like that, I just sold my childhood guitar. The guitar that I had to work so hard to pay for, the guitar that I learned how to play guitar on, and I just sold it. And I regretted it every day, and eventually, stopped thinking about it, got over it, until I started taking classical guitar lessons at Belmont. I wasn't attending Belmont, but I was taking classical lessons for a minute from a Belmont professor. And this is just a couple years ago. I was like, man, I really want to get my classical back. I was cleaning out my Gmail inbox from like years back, and I saw my Craigslist chain with the guy I sold it to. And I was like, you know what? I'm getting back into classical guitar. Why the heck not? I'm just going to email this guy and see if he still has it. Try to make him a good offer. It's Nashville. The guy probably doesn't have it. You know, he probably had it for a couple months. Classic Nashville story. People buy and sell gear all the time. It's just how it goes. Like, there's no attachment. So I emailed him, and he replies right away, and he says, I do still have it. It's in great condition. I've been loving it, but I've been wanting something else. I'll sell it back to you for how much I paid for it. And I got super choked up. Like, I was almost in tears. And it's kind of funny because it was full circle. We met in the Guitar Center parking lot where I sold it to him originally. And when he handed it to me, like, it was one of the most surreal things ever. And I buckled it in my front seat on the whole drive home and played it like for 3 days straight. And it's just the best comeback story. Like, you know, all of these guitars, they're just things, you know. They don't, at the end of the day, they really don't matter. Like, stuff, whatever. But I feel like this guitar is an exception because it is my childhood learning to play guitar, all the best memories I have of going to guitar lessons and things like that. So much love to the guy who sold it back to me. He was very gracious, and he didn't have to do that, and I really, really appreciated it. Anyway, that wraps my guitar inventory, so hang on to all your guitars. And if you've sold guitars or any gear that you've regretted in the past, just hit the person up, see if they'll do anything for you. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Every guitar has its purpose, and every guitar needs to be played.